It's no longer news that the federal government is insisting on the ban of the importation of solar panels into the country. I didn't want to talk about this since the Minister of Science and Technology hinted that the federal government is considering a ban on the importation of solar panels, about a month ago. But since they are now saying they are insisting, well, I think it's right for me to share some information with you so that you can begin to ask the right questions. So I think the first thing to consider is the case for boosting local manufacturing, which is what the Minister of Science and Technology says is their reason for wanting to ban the importation of solar panels. They say they want to boost local production of solar panels. They want Nigeria to focus on building these panels at home. That is a very good idea, but the question is, if you are going to say you're producing solar panels in Nigeria, to what extent do you think you can produce solar panels in Nigeria? To what extent can you produce solar panels in Nigeria? Or are you going to end up assembling solar panels in Nigeria? Let me give you an idea. There are 7 main parts of a solar panel. The first one is the solar cells. The second one is the tempered glass, the EVA film, which serves as an encapsulant. Number 4 is the back sheet. The 5th one is aluminum frame, and then you have the junction box, and number 7 is the metal strips for tabbing the cells, that is connecting the solar cells. And maybe if there should be a number 8, maybe it is the carton for packaging. So the solar panel has about 7 parts, and guess what? The most important part is the solar cell. We do not have a silicon or semiconductor processing company in Nigeria that will produce solar cells. There are a few companies in Nigeria that are producing solar panels right now, but all of them, they are all buying solar cells from outside the country. Of course, from China. Let me give you an example again. If you have a 300-watt solar panel that has 72 cells, the solar cells alone account for somewhere between 35 to 45% of the solar panel. So if you say you're going to manufacture solar panels and about 35 to 45% of the value of the product alone is coming from China, then it begs the question, is it even worth it? So I ask again, to what extent can you manufacture solar panels in Nigeria? My second point is that we have an energy crisis in Nigeria, and the problem is that we don't generate enough energy to distribute to our homes and offices. We don't generate as much as we need. Let me give you some numbers. Nigeria has 26 power plants connected to the national grid. And these 26 power plants have a capacity of 11,165 megawatts, approximately. But the problem is that despite this capacity of, over 11,000 megawatts, they are actually generating 5,000 megawatts or less. So we have far less electricity. And when you want to wonder how big or small is this 5,000 megawatts, well, let's put it in comparison. Egypt generates somewhere between 40,000 to 54,000 megawatts. So you should compare. Egypt generates what? Somewhere between 40,000 to 54,000 megawatts. And we are here at 5,000 megawatts. Now, Egypt has a population of around 115 million people. Nigeria has a population of around 200 million people. Another comparison that will give you an idea of how little of an energy we have is South Africa, generating around 42,000 megawatts, and their population is around 63 million people. Our own, we are around 200 million people, and we are managing 5,000 megawatts. And that is why you don't have light in your house. It's not as if the electricity at the power stations are going on and off. No, they are constantly generating electricity. But that electricity is too small for the large population. And that is why they bring the light to your street for some hours. Then they take it and give it to another street. Then they take it to and give it to another street, so that at least everybody will just experience a few minutes or 1 or 2 hours of electricity a day. Sometimes you go 3 or 4 days without it. Now, why am I talking about this energy crisis, this electricity crisis? It is because despite all of these 5,000 megawatts of electricity we are generating, almost none of it is solar. As a matter of fact, I was looking for a solar power plant connected to the national grid. The only thing I could find is a 10 megawatt plant in Kano State at a place called Chalawa Industrial Estate. That is the only significant, solar power plant connected to the national grid. So what does that tell you? Well, what it tells you is that the solar has no significance on our national grid. The only solar power plant connected to our national grid is just 10 megawatts, and we are looking at a national grid of 5,000 megawatts. Tell me, what fraction of 5,000 is 10 megawatts? That's too small. It is insignificant. So the solar panels coming into Nigeria are just going to people's homes. Whether we ban them or we manufacture them locally, they will not add anything, they will not remove anything from the national grid. It is important to know this. Honorable Minister or whoever is making the policies, the solar panels coming into Nigeria are not going to add or remove anything from the national grid, at least for the next 5 years. Do you know how much of a solar farm you need to build to generate 100 megawatts? Not to talk of 1,000 megawatts. So this tells you that our electricity, the solution to our electricity problem lies with the gas power plants we have or the hydro power plants. If you look at South Africa, in their case, around 87% of their energy comes from coal plants. So it is worth mentioning. Nigerians are just getting emotional. They want to ban the importation of solar panel. They want to. Can we just look at it critically and make sense of this situation? That is why I'm sharing this information. So please, whoever wants to ban the importation of solar panels, what you are going to do is just punish individuals, because it is most of the solar panels in this country, and by most I mean 95%, are by individuals and private businesses. They are not adding anything to the national grid. Our national grid, if we really want energy, if we really want electricity, we should go and build more power plants and get the existing power plants to operate at over 80% efficiency. That is the truth. And another important thing is that we're going to see the smuggling of solar panels into the country. Let's not kid ourselves. Anything we ban in this country eventually finds its way back into the country, right? So if you ban the importation of solar panels, people will eventually smuggle it into the country. Now, the most important point I need to make, which made me even start this video in the first place, is to ask this question. This is a question. I'm not accusing or pointing any fingers. My question is, why solar panels? Why solar panels? We have been burning generators in this country for more than 50 years. Why can't the federal government say we want to ban the importation of generators, petrol and diesel generators? Let us manufacture them locally. To do that, we would have to revive our steel industry. Mechanical engineering will get serious in Nigeria. It will boost our industrialization if we decide to manufacture generators of all sizes in this country. I'm telling you, in 5 years, there will be a massive industrialization drive. Solar panel production, that's a joke. You bring solar cells from China, you tap them with a string, a silver string or aluminum wire. You tap them, it's called tapping, meaning you join them, then you place them on a tempered glass. Then what's that? That's not serious manufacturing. That will not drive anything. You can have a factory manufacturing over 100 panels a week and you wouldn't even employ up to 50 people. But if you say, let us go and manufacture all the machines, all the engines and generators in this country inside Nigeria, that is when you see real industrialization drive. So why solar panels? Why not generators? Or at least, why not inverters and charge controllers? At least that would, if we decide to ban them and produce them here, we will have a full scale electronics industry taking off. If we are serious about local production, since it is the reason that the government is giving for wanting to ban the importation of solar panels, why don't we ban charge controllers and inverters? Okay, why don't we ban batteries? We have a lot of lithium deposits in the country. Why don't we ban the importation of batteries? And maybe, just maybe, we can get one or two investors to come and start processing lithium here. You see, banning the importation of solar panels it will not make you produce solar cells in the country. It is very capital intensive. I mean, to set up a silicon processing company to produce the solar cells in Nigeria, and you may likely never do it anywhere as cheap as China can do it. And so what you end up with is a situation where you end up buying the solar cells from China. And the way my people like to say it, China boy. Yes, you'll just be running errand for China. They produce cells, you buy it, you come here, you are likely buying tempered glass from them. Maybe you can do the aluminum profile here, and then you buy machines from them to assemble it. What is that? If the minister and the federal government decides to ban the importation of solar panels, well, my only recommendation is that they should give a minimum of 2-year timeline, right? They should give a grace period of nothing less than 2 years. You shouldn't just come out next week and say, hey, we are banning the importation of solar panels, abruptly, like Buhari closed our borders. If not, that is going to really have negative effect on the market and the individuals, but end up not adding anything to the national grid. The biggest impact that solar is making for the government is rural electrification. Street lights in rural places, adding electricity to rural homes. I think that is even what we should focus more on, instead of just coming out to say you want to ban solar importation abruptly. The impact will be very negative, and the people who will suffer it are the citizens, but it will not add anything to the national grid. The ban on the importation of solar panels will not stop Nigerians from shouting up NEPA.